Good evening, I'm Hugh Downs.
And I'm Barbara Walters, and this is 2020.
From ABC News, around the world and into your home, the stories that touch your life. This is 2020 with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters.
I bet I'm making the listener very uncomfortable.
Stuttering, a traumatic affliction that holds people back.
I'd like to welcome.
But help exists. Special techniques and electronic tutors add up to success stories.
When you can say what you want, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
For you, for someone you know, John Stossel with a personal understanding of stuttering.
What do you suppose is a problem that people write to us about all the time? It's stuttering. It affects several million Americans, and we keep getting more and more letters on the subject. So we decided to repeat a story that John Stossel did several years back. One interesting thing about it is that our articulate, John Stossel, often suffers from stuttering himself.
It's true, although he overcomes it brilliantly. But John's story begins with a dramatic example of how easily and how unexpectedly stutterers can suffer public humiliation. That happened to Lester Hayes, a former star of the Oakland Raiders, when he was interviewed after his team won the 1980 Super Bowl.
They wanted to prove they could beat you, and they really didn't.
It was like it was a super day for us, and just saying like this guy over here just saying like.
Hayes says this was his most horrible day ever. We stutterers usually want to hide our blocking because we know when we stutter.
I bet I'm making the listener very uncomfortable.
This woman is a member of the National Stuttering Project.
I'd like to welcome.
It's a group of stutterers who get together to talk about stuttering.
My husband or my girlfriends, my parents make phone calls for me.
I got married a couple years ago. You know, about 200 people. There was a judge doing the ceremony, and he's out there. He says, "Now repeat after me." And I said, "But it might be tough."
Much of the talk is about avoiding difficult words.
If I'm supposed to be telling people where I come from or something, and I can't say Ireland, I always say something like I come from the land of the shamrocks or something like that.
Just talking about stuttering has helped some of these people speak better.
I know that, like I've always wanted to drink lemonade, and I've always had Coke or something else, which I haven't. I like lemonade. I still have problems, but now it's give me lemonade.
Most stutterers have tried many therapies without success.
I've had all kinds of treatments for my stuttering. Some places said, speak more slowly. One guy said, speak faster. A number of people said you should breathe differently. One acupuncturist said he could cure me. A hypnotist said that too. But nothing helped me until I got to this place, the Communications Research Institute in Roanoke, Virginia.
The Institute teaches people to become aware of exactly how we should produce speech. There are vocal cords in the throat. Air from the lungs vibrates them smoothly to produce voice. But when a stutterer blocks, the vocal cords tense and lock up. You can see it watching speech on an oscilloscope. Normal speech looks about like this. Each sound begins gently. A stutterer's speech, even when we're not blocking, begins more abruptly. The treatment here is what psychologists call behavior modification. Simply reteach people how to speak without the abrupt starts. To do that, they slow us down to 2 seconds per syllable. Then, for 8 hours a day, everyone sits in little rooms talking to this box. A computer in the box rewards smooth speech by giving you this green light.
You become a slave to the green light. You spend hours in this room trying to keep it on. The idea is that as long as I make each sound gently, the green light stays on. But if I hit a sound too hard, like 2020, the light goes out.
After 2 weeks in these tiny rooms moaning at the machine, you graduate to more fearful territory. Phone calls.
What time do you close?
What are your hours, please?
Before we see the results of the therapy, let's meet the students.
You have a pretty severe problem.
Yeah, because sometimes it's better, sometimes it's...
18-year-old Robert is the worst stutterer in the group. His stutters sometimes last half a minute, and as with many severe stutterers, when he blocks, his whole body tenses up. David's stuttering pattern is to go until he gets the word out.
Do people ever just think that you're dumb?
I would assume so, yes. And that what bothers me the most of all. I really hate that.
Butch says in school, other children would mock him.
I thought I was different. I was weird, you know.
What do you hope to get out of this course?
I'm going to be a sports broadcaster.
Television broadcaster?
Right.
You think you will be?
Yep. I have strong plans.
Okay, but one step at a time. The next challenge is what's called transfer. The therapist takes you to a local shopping center. Can you transfer what you've learned to the real world?
Where is the bank?
The bank?
Yes. Where is the bank?
It's downstairs, right across from Penny's.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
May I have a large diet, please?
Diet Dr. Pepper.
How did you feel when you were suddenly asking people where the bank is and ordering Pepsi?
Like I wanted to just talk and talk and talk and not stop. Because when you can say what you want, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Richard Seacrest is feeling pretty good, too. 2 weeks before, he told me he was anxious about dating. He'd asked one woman out, and she said
that I would not go out with a stuttering fool.
2 weeks later.
Now you're going over to the college to talk to women?
That's the difference.
You go up to complete strangers and just talk to them?
That is correct. I never could do that before. So far, I have met about 80-some plus girls here.
And remember Butch, who wanted to go on TV?
Now you think you can become a sportscaster?
This is Howard Cosell, live from ringside. 2 power punchers, one with style and grace, one with strength and skill.
Maybe someday he'll interview Lester Hayes. His speech is better now, too.
I had got to a point where I was just getting licked by it, and I just couldn't control it.
Hayes took the Hollins course after his Super Bowl trauma.
It can be controlled.
Not that it works for everyone. Remember Robert? The therapy did little for him. Hollins claims he's the exception, and they have a survey that proves it.
Even 2 years later, 75% say they're satisfied with their speech.
That's right.
And that's better than other programs.
As near as we can tell.
Would you let us go through your files and call the people ourselves?
Sure. I mean, we have no problems with that.
Other speech therapists told us the Institute exaggerates its success rate. So we called 75 graduates. Sure enough, most are now satisfied with their speech. Still, some speech therapists, like Dr. Joseph Sheehan of UCLA, are skeptical. He says that if therapy deals only with the stutterer's speech and ignores his feelings, the stuttering will eventually return. He believes in a more psychological approach.
The handicap of stuttering is like an iceberg, that most of it is beneath the surface. It's all the fear and guilt and shame underneath that you have to deal with. And that's what the stutterer must overcome in therapy.
In addition to teaching them new speech techniques, Sheehan tells his patients, go ahead and stutter. Accept the fact that you are a stutterer. Then you'll fear it less and speak better.
So when I went, I just decided that I'm just going to stutter, and I did. And I felt terrific.
Before coming here, Peter Kupferman had been to therapist after therapist, searching for perfect speech. Their methods didn't work.
Like the plague. The key words to this therapy, I would say, are honesty and courage. Honesty in revealing yourself as a stutterer, and courage to go ahead and speaking situations that you fear you might stutter in, and stutter anyway.
What about children just starting to stutter? How can you parents help them avoid a lifelong problem? The experts told us the most important thing is to recognize the stutter when it first appears. Now, all children stumble over words sometimes. That's normal. It's only a stutter when it happens unusually often or when it happens with pressure. Another warning sign is if your child avoids certain words.
Justin was 3.5 years old when suddenly he started to stutter.
I'd say within a week, he was very hard to understand.
You, Mom almost beat me.
Not yet in school, Justin's been in private speech therapy for 4 months. Experts agree that nearly all children who receive proper treatment soon after the problem begins recover completely.
A roll his eyes.
But when young stutterers don't receive therapy soon enough, it can affect their personalities.
It makes her rebellious, and she has told me, Mother, why did God make me like this? I don't want to be like this.
When Gloria began stuttering at 4, her parents could hardly understand her. Today, she gets speech therapy in a public school program in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
This is a car.
Through games, they learn new ways to speak, and they also learn to deal with their feelings about stuttering. Gloria had been teased that if she really wanted to, she could stop stuttering.
I can help it. And I told her I couldn't. And then she kept on saying I could help it.
How did you feel when she said that?
Many experts told us good speech therapists for stutterers are hard to find, in private practice or in schools. So if your child stutters, it'll take some digging to find good help. The experts told us, get a second opinion to make sure it really is stuttering. And make sure the therapist specializes in stuttering, not just in speech disorders in general. When the therapy mix is right,
It's just amazing how much the speech therapy has done for her over the 3 years. She's just so outgoing, and she just seems like she's such a happy child now because of that.
What about the little boy we just saw, John? Is he better, too?
Justin, yes, we looked for him and found him in Idaho and went back to see him just last week.
Justin, would you please read number 5 for us, sir?
Justin Hollis is now in the 6th grade. He's come a long way since we first met him.
We rode out as far as the Red Bayou.
His stuttering is totally under control. His parents say getting therapy young made the difference.
I wanted to give Justin every opportunity that we could. When we took Justin in for therapy, he played lots of games, which we had to continue at home and practice for a while until it almost became second nature.
That kind of game therapy clearly worked. Today, Justin's only memories of that time are happy ones.
We play a game, and when I go out, I get a little toy.
That's nice. He's another example, along with you, of successful dealing with it. I don't think of you, though, as a stutterer. If you stuttered badly, and I take your word for it, why did you go into television?
I stuttered pretty badly. I would talk like this a lot of the time. That stutter became real once I started. I didn't intend to go on the air. I came into television as a researcher, and when I first went on the air, I had lots of trouble and was about to quit, and that's when I found that clinic in Virginia that helped me. But this still makes me nervous, talking to you in front of all these people.
Well, you've overcome it, though. I think it's great. Thank you, John.
That's terrific.
Thank you, Barbara.
Well, when we come back, a movie star and a swimming star. Whatever happened to that human mermaid, Esther Williams?